if two SEC teams make the Final Four, who is most likely to be half of that quattro?
If two teams make it, who is most likely to be half of those two teams?
Exactly.
Weirdest question.
That was a
I've ever
strangely
asked.
worded question, Dave. I'm just going to ignore it and go, yeah,
Caleb
I
came up
definitely
with it.
think at least. Okay, then it's still strangely worded to what you presented to me.
I didn't come
don't
up
know
with it
what
like that.
Caleb's
Davis put
wording
me under the
was.
bus. John, do not know.
Yeah,
do not let
he
Dave do this
did.
to me.
Yeah,
Dave, do not do this to me. I
going
did not come
home
up
in
with
the
that.
tournament. We're going home in the
Wow.
tournament, and it's Caleb's fault, not mine. Thanks, Dave.
I feel so
Okay,
scapegoated.
forget the question. Auburn and Kentucky are the two teams I like the most out of the SEC to make the Final Four.
Boy, that's hard to argue with, Caleb. I like Auburn's coaching a lot, and it feels like Kentucky started to put something together. And when they decide to play defense, they're scary. And you would think they would decide to play defense in elimination games, right?
Yeah, but I'm going to go with Tennessee and Kentucky, believe it or not. I'm serious on that. I'm going to go with Tennessee, Kentucky. I think Kentucky is uniquely equipped to stop Houston when they're in the same bracket. And we've said all year that this is a different Tennessee team. This is different than any team Rick Barnes has ever coached. John, we said yesterday, if he doesn't make a run this year, they will never, ever, ever make a run. Because this team is so uniquely built. I don't care about the last two games. I think people are overreacting about that. I see a very, very clear path for them to the Final Four, including I like this matchup with Purdue now better than when they played Purdue back in November when they were adjusting still to, like I talked about, the high-low motion offense. So,
well, if you're picking Tennessee, let's dive into that for a second. So, what do you like about their draw?
So, the first team they play is St. Peter's, who, again, that's when you look at matchups and where like lower seeds can pull off an upset, that's a lower seed that has no shot at pulling off an upset. I'm going out here right now and saying they don't have any shot at pulling off an upset. I am staking my claim. I would bet everything that St. Peter's, that's almost my surest bet. Okay, they don't belong in the tournament. They were one of those red hot conference tourney winners. They rely on an inside presence to win games. Their inside guys are 6'6" and 6'7". That works in your little conference that you're in. That doesn't work when you're playing the SEC or a big name team.
Your
And
little conference.
if you're going to be a lower seed that pulls off the upset, you have to be a threat from three. They're not. So that I'm throwing them out. The next one, they would play Texas, Virginia, or Colorado State. These are all really like mediocre teams that backed into the NCAA tournament, so they should win that, and they're going to get them in Raleigh. So no matter who they play, including Virginia, I think it's a home game for Tennessee. Now if they get to the Sweet 16, they would play. They've already beaten South Carolina, and then they would play either Oregon, Creighton, or Akron. I think all three of those are possible winners. So let's get to the Elite Eight. Let's assume they face Purdue. If they don't, they'll be a favorite. The only thing that draws back Purdue is the game would be in Detroit, which, yes, that does give Purdue an advantage. But I think Tennessee fans travel well.
You know what's absolutely crazy, John? Is Tennessee's 24-8, 14-4 in the conference. Kentucky's 23-9 and 13-5 in the SEC. This is one of Tennessee's greatest seasons ever. It's kind of a downer for the Wildcats. Kind of puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Yes, but Kentucky has what, 4 first-round draft picks? I think it's safe to say that.
Year in and year out.
Kentucky, we saw it. Kentucky beat Auburn at Auburn, one of the best home court advantages in college basketball now. Beat Tennessee at Food City Center, again, one of the great home court advantages in college basketball.
Kroger's.
It beat both of them there. Kentucky is capable of playing a great game. Yeah, its defense has been lacking, but to Caleb's point or yours, it's going to be motivated to play defense in the NCAA tournament. And it's got so many offensive weapons. It's a team that if it gets hot, I mean, it's got so many guys that can hit threes. It's got so many guys that can get to the basket. It has 3 7-footers that can alternate when he gets in foul trouble in the post. I mean, this team, and it may look, on the other hand, it might lose in the second round. I don't know that but I just think it has the potential to go all the way. When you look at its talent, it could win a national championship.
It's
What I like about Tennessee, though, I think this is the best region for Tennessee to be in because the number 1 seed is Purdue. Purdue beat it 4 points on neutral court. Kai Ziegler was just getting to come back from a serious knee injury. And still it was a 4-point game. Purdue has a history abysmal as Tennessee in this tournament. So, I mean, this is its best shot. That's why, I mean, I think Tennessee will make the Elite, but I think if you got Purdue and Tennessee for a Final Four bid, I wouldn't have any confidence in either one of those teams winning it, but one of them would have to. Tennessee's challenge to me would be getting by Creighton if it faces Creighton in that region.
I get sick of hearing about Creighton. I feel like I mean, I know they've had a run, but do they have, I don't know, do they have another one in them? Caleb, we discussed that yesterday a little bit. I feel like everybody jumps on board Creighton like they're to the next Gonzaga.
Well, also Gonzaga is gone from tournament Cinderella to perpetual underachiever in the tournament. I mean, because they can't get that national title that they've been looking for constantly.
Word is they're making a run at Rick Barnes to go ahead and cinch the deal.
Did you say they're making a run at Rick Barnes to go ahead and cinch the deal?
That's hot.
So, John, just curious question. Rick Barnes versus John Calipari as a tactician in March. Who would you trust?
Oh, Lord. I trust my players to show up tired and not play with any sense of discipline.
X's and O's, Rick Barnes versus John Calipari in March.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually.
As a tactician, I'd trust Rick Barnes.
I would too.
By default, though, right?
Not a slam dunk. Is it a slam dunk, John?
Yeah, tear down that peach basket right now. But it's hard. I mean, I've thought all year long, I thought Tennessee would be in the Final Four. I really have thought that. And watching that Kentucky game, though, kind of changed my mind because I know Kentucky's very talented, but your home floor and those things that Rick Barnes talked about, how senior day, the players were antsy. They wanted to make a really good impression in their farewell game. The veteran players were, they were too emotional. I don't know if you can't handle the pressure of senior day, can you handle the pressure of an NCAA tournament? It just kind of raised a question with me, and it just kind of went back, and I looked at that history. I mean, I've thought Tennessee was headed for the Final Four before, and it lost to lesser teams. So now I just don't think it'll make the Final Four for some reason. And it's not because of the opposition. I think it's the very best regional Tennessee could have been in. When I look at that number 1 seed, of all the number 1 seeds, which one could Tennessee beat? Purdue would be the handpicked one. That's who I would pick Tennessee to be. So to me, everything went Tennessee's way, but it's how can you trust this team in an NCAA tournament?
Guys, I don't know what, and I remind you that John's appearance is brought to you by Newbert Collision Center. They will take care of you. Push them 50 years. So that's where you need to take your car if it has any damage whatsoever to the body. That's why they've been in North Knoxville and West Knoxville for, again, pushing them 50 years. I know Mr. Newbert, they're fantastic. Newbert Collision Centers, they bring you John Adams. Guys, when I started to lose a little bit of my belief in this team, and John, I'll let you go with this, is when I realized that Kentucky, when they really wanted to play, were far more talented. And if those two teams showed up 10 times and there was $1 million on the line, I think Kentucky would win 9.5 of those games. Do you guys disagree with that?
Totally. Yes. You go.
Okay, fine.
John.
Go. Tell me why.
Because I think you think that actually you're mistaking that as if Tennessee really wanted to win that game against Kentucky 2 Saturdays ago. Tennessee took off the minute they got the SEC regular season tourney, and they've been resting, like I said they should, until the NCAA tourney.
Oh,
That to me is troublesome in and of itself.
Not against Kentucky.
I
That's
think they
Tennessee's
did.
biggest rivalry. That was a big stage. There's no way Tennessee took off in that game. Absolutely no way.
I'm sorry.
Kentucky was just better. Kentucky was just better.
If I were Rick Barnes, I would have not even played that game. I'd have forfeited and just called it a day.
You would have gotten fired then.
He just doesn't. Jerry Green showed up late. He got a tardy on his record one time.
I would have rested my starters. I would have done load management, and I'm sorry.
My gosh, Caleb, how you think? Look, why do you think Tennessee's like they needed the rest, so they're not going to play hard against Kentucky in a game? Give them some time off in practice, but don't tell them, hey, guys, take it easy out there today. It's just Kentucky.
Yes,
they're going to embarrass you if you do that.
Regular season title. Who cares?